Alright, welcome back, guys. Here's our second installment of our tier list for the entirety of the Gundam beta. This time we're doing everything that's not a unit card, being the bases, commands, hybrid commands, and the pilots. Joined by Mohammed.
That's me.
As you may have already watched the previous half, but if you didn't, go watch it right now. Links in the description.
So same tier structure. New type is the best of the best. We're going to have one for each type of card. S is the top tier. A is all pretty good. B is playable, not upset to have it. And then Guel, Jobber, Turk, no foreshadowing.
Yep, so assuming that you just came back from the first half, we'll just get right into it. So, with bases, let's go over, honestly, the cream of the crop is our first one
We're
right
starting
there.
with a hard hitter, the white base. This one's really good. It's just like infinite advantage. Your opponent has to deal with it very, very quickly, or it can like snowball out of control. Like, making a 1-1 every turn doesn't sound great, like if you have a board, but the reality of it is all shields have 1 health, so a 1-1 contests their shield.
There's so many applications to this card too. If your opponent accidentally hits it out of life for you, you burst it, and then they don't immediately blow it up. Next turn, you just pay the extra 2 that you might have lying around to make an extra body. Like, when you're ahead, this card just really puts your opponent in the ground, because then you put out the base and either they have to deal with all the dudes you have on board, or they have to deal with your base, but usually they can't deal with both in the same turn, or it's very hard to. So, yeah, this card's really, really strong. It's really good at putting your opponent in a lose-lose situation.
Definitely S tier, maybe even new type tier. It's just like, when you're ahead on board, it just demands an answer, but then they're not answering your board. And then if they answer your board instead of answering this card, you just rebuild a board. So It's just really, really strong. Moving on to the second blue base, we have Side 7. This is, I think, the only base in the beta that does not have 5 health aside from the EX base. This one's not great.
Yeah, this one's like on the stark opposite side of the spectrum.
Like, yeah, it lets you draw a card, basically, but it, like...
all of them do that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's like... Okay, let me rephrase. It lets you draw a card early because it's a level 1 base, but then you get rid of your EX base. So it's like, it's not...
Yeah, like, the fact that it's level 1 isn't super impressive because you already have your EX base, and, like, I think you're better off just leaving your EX base around and let your opponent pop that first, so...
It's like, sometimes your opponent won't even, like, be trying to contest your EX base until, like, levels 3 and level 4, just because they don't want... Like, they want to, like, get set up and not get their board punished for, like, overextending. It's just, like, not worth playing this over any of the other bases, really.
It's hard to get the heal going, too.
Exactly.
It's hard to make it relevant, I should say.
This one's definitely a no from me.
Yep.
Moving on, the Archangel. So, this card synergizes very well in its color. It untaps a blocker to give it a pseudo-vigilance effect from Magic, where it's, like, untapped so it can block after it's already attacked. It doesn't let you aggress, because once you restand the thing, it can't attack anymore. But, like, that's not, like, the idea behind it. It's fine. Well, it's good. It's not fine. It's better than fine. It's hard to set it up in a way where you can use this and, like, play your contesting body outside of, like, really late game situations.
Yeah, like, you pretty much said it all. It's okay. Between the two bases and white, it's definitely the stronger of the two, I would argue. I
probably put an A.
Yeah. I don't hate it. It's a good 5th base or 6th base.
I agree. Looking at Ostakasia School of Technology Earth House, that is a mouthful. It's fine. It like gives Gundams on pair effect, except as a base. I think there are stronger bases to play. Not that that's a bad effect. Just like there are better bases you can get out there.
Yeah, I agree.
It's probably B tier.
I don't think it's quite. Oh yeah, I wouldn't put it quite as low as Site 7, but yeah, I would say
being a 1-cost base is also very solid. Like, it doesn't take up a lot of your turn to establish this, and it still has 5 health on top of, like, pumping your board. So it's reasonable. It's not bad. Moving on, we have St. Gabriel Institute. This is a level 2 2-cost base. Honestly, the fact that it's a 2-cost base and its effect just, like, looks at the top 2. It doesn't add 1 to your hand. It just puts 1 on top and 1 on bottom. I don't think this card's really good. I think this is honestly worse than Earth House. But what are your thoughts, Colin?
I'd put it at the same tier as Earth House, B. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay, but I I think there's definitely stronger bases.
I think
you
for
could be
2,
playing.
there's just like such better bases you could play. Like it feels like so bad as a
Yeah.
2-cost base. But I think being in B is fine. Like it's not as bad as side 7, it at least has 5 health. But moving on, we have Fall Mel. This one is actually very good. It just makes a unit, which is like
Yeah, it
strong.
makes a Zaku. It basically makes a blocker because you put out your base and then, like, yeah, the Zaku comes out rested, but your opponent kind of has to respect it. Now, granted, because it's only 1 health, there's plenty of ways to deal with it, like through gun cannon or like perfect strike to bounce it. So it's not as crazy as the white base, but it's still really solid. Just the fact that it makes a body on top of it being your base.
It kind of like it elevates the strength of white because white is really the only color that has good answers to it. Like if your opponent's playing like green blue,
Yeah,
they don't really have a good answer to it, and you could just get so far ahead on board if they don't have something to deal with it very quickly. So I honestly think it's probably an S tier base. Like of what we have in the beta, it's just like very strong and it demands an answer very quickly.
If you're playing green white, this is your best base for sure.
100%. Moving on to the commands. So we're going to go over the mono command cards first. We're looking at intercept orders. It's kind of okay. It rests 2 units potentially, so it can like help you take the board back, and it has a burst. But
The burst effect's pretty strong, to be fair.
yeah, the burst is pretty good. It rests a 5. But the main...
Five
Okay,
health
it's
guy.
at least a main action, so you can do it in response to your opponent's like attack, which is good. Like
Yeah.
if they try to wall up behind demi trainers or something.
Or if they have like a bunch of smaller dudes that are able to alpha strike you, you can like on their first swing action step rest 2 things.
Yeah. It's not bad. I don't think it's,
it's okay.
great, but I think it's like reasonable.
I think for this format, I would put it at either A or B. I think A.
I was
think
leaning
it
closer to A
has some
than B.
applications.
I think it's close
Yeah.
though. Moving on, we have Show Resolve. This card's just really good.
Yeah, easy S tier.
And they-
On paper, you would think you would get clogged on this because it's like a 3-cost level 4 to draw 2 cards. It's like in Magic, divination isn't super impressive, but at least the current state of Gundam, card advantage is just so important.
It's like
And the
running
games
out of
do get kinda
resources is so
grindy.
bad.
Yeah, like you will have the time to cast these more often than not, so this card's pretty important as of right now.
100% agree. Definitely an S tier from me. We also have Witch and the Bride. It has a burst to just do its actual effect. It interacts with most everything in the game, honestly. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, it provides a lot of tempo for what it is. It snags most things in the format, almost everything outside of things that are paired with pilots.
Yeah, it's like I think you have to be paired with a pilot to get out of range of it. I don't think anything just gets out without it. So honestly, in my opinion, it's an S tier command.
Yep, agree.
I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna put this here.
Yeah.
So this
Overflowing
card's
Faction,
very, very
draw two,
strong.
discard
It
one.
digs you deeper into your deck. It's super cheap to play. You can play very early in the game because it's a level 2 card. It doesn't even like have a downside of saying like you discard a
Yeah,
card because it
it's a
just
staple.
replaces itself. Because if
Yeah,
you use
it's
the
a
card and
staple.
discard a
It's a
card
staple.
but draw 2, you're like net zeros. You just saw 2 more cards than your opponent. It's just great.
Yep. Yep.
Nothing more to say. Moving on to a card that is less great, Naval
That's the
Bombardment.
opposite of a staple.
This is the opposite of a staple. It pumps your blocker's attack by 3, which isn't really what I want to pump on my blocker. I want to pump their toughness.
yeah. This is jobber tier.
Yeah, not much to say. Like,
Yeah,
it is a combat trick, but like it's a combat trick that's restricted to your guy has a keyword, and it frankly buffs like the wrong stat to like be
Yeah,
to
pretty
be
much.
strong. Like I guess you can make your demi trainer a 4/1 so that like beats up something, but it's like I'd rather just like have played something better to block. I don't know, not the best. Moving on, Citizens Take a Stand. This is just like a board-wide anthem effect. It buffs your board's attack. On paper, it's great, but like in the beta, because like hand advantage and resources are like so hard to come by, it's like not worth using a combat trick if it's not really dealing with anything.
Yeah.
And because shields have one life, like giving your guys more power doesn't like help you contest life. It's just there to like contest board, and using an extra card to contest board is like really bad.
Yeah, it's not worth the minusing. Even to like make your guys big enough to trade into your opponent's board is not the best. Because like in theory, the units you're playing should already be able to trade into most things. So like this card's like just so niche. It's just like the other card.
Like it's very possible it comes better later because it's very cheap to play it. Because it only costs 1 to play, but it costs 4 to... You have to be at level 4 to play it, so you can't just like get an early cheese out either. That's like another drawback to it. It does at least go to your hand if you hit it as a burst. So I think it has potential come the release of set 1, but right now I frankly think this card is not very good.
Yeah, I honestly I put in Jobber too. It's as far as rare skill, because this is so rare, it's the worst.
Yeah, this is a very bad rare, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have First Contact. I think Colin and I are in like similar agreement. I really want to like this card, but unfortunately, specifically in the beta, and we mentioned this in the unit video, but specifically in the beta, there's not really anything worth ramping to, since the highest cost card you can play currently is 4. With a pilot, it becomes 5, and just like ramping to that isn't worth losing the cards, since you just don't really have a way to like get a lot of card advantage in the beta. Like the only really strong draw spells are Show of Resolve and Overflowing Affection, and again, Overflowing is just a net neutral. So like using First Contact to ramp just doesn't really feel worth it right now. It's still a strong card. I'd probably put it in B tier, but it has a potential to go up, but I don't think it's that great right now.
I'm a little bit harsher on this card. I think, again, right now, I think this card is Jobber tier. I think this card's really bad.
I think because it has the burst to ramp you, and it has the potential to just like run away with a game if your opponent doesn't have like the follow-up to your like Gundam, like your wing UE play, I think it's slightly better than Jobber tier. I don't think it's as bad as these two commands.
I'll give you that. It's definitely like the bottom of B.
Like if I can avoid playing it, like again, if I can build a deck of just cards from like A tier and above, I will. But am I gonna be super upset if this ends up in my deck list because I don't have anything else from my beta? Not really. It'll be fine. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think it's as bad as the bottom 2 commands. That's a fair statement.
Moving on to the hybrid pilots. Our first one is Kai's Resolve, or Kai Shiden. He's okay. His traits are really good.
Just for that, I would put him in B, just because of his Earth Federation and White Base.
Yeah, his effect is okay. It sucks that it's only a main and not a main action, but his traits are very good, so I think he's fine. Next, we have Thoroughly Damaged, or Hayato Kobayashi. Again, his traits are really good. The not trait half of the card is like really mediocre. Like to be fair, it is good against like the Zaku tokens and like when you're like in a trade, but
yeah, this is definitely the stronger of the two between him and Kai. Honestly, I think this one's closer to A for me because two specific reasons. A, like we said, the command half is stronger than Kai, and for the pilot half, the stat buff is +1 to HP instead of AP.
I agree.
Which HP is better, especially on Gun Cannon, because you put Gun Cannon up to 4 health, which is actually pretty relevant.
I will say the one downside to the hybrid pilot commands is that none of them have burst. So if you have to play the specific link, for example, with Troa Barton, who we'll be getting to shortly, you just can't guarantee they'll end up in your hand unless you draw them. All of the main mono pilots do have burst come to your hand. Yep. But moving on, next we have Hawk of Endymion. This card's just honestly really strong. I'd probably put this in S tier in terms of just the hybrid commands. Yeah, it only gives +1/+0, but like the spell half is a main action, and it's like reasonable. So it's like,
I really want to play with this card. Spoiler alert, it's actually not in my deck right now, which stay tuned for that deck profile. But it's pretty good. It's either A or S. Is it worthy of S tier? It's not quite as strong in a vacuum as Witch and the Bride, and
I think the fact that
definitely
it's
not as
cheaper
strong as
and
its
comes out
rivals.
sooner is better though. Because Witch is a level
That's
5
fair.
for 2. This is a level 2 for 1. Like this can just steal tempo early if you like go like open up a wide enough board.
It is cheaper too. I'll give you that. I could see it being an S. Also, like the Mulaflaga trait, Earth Alliance actually.
Earth
links
Alliance comes up
with
on a lot
2
of the
strikes.
yeah, it comes up on I believe 2 or 3 of the strikes, so I think
It's like
reasonable.
Perfect Strike and the Launcher Strike, which are both very good units. So,
And then +1/+0
can
on
see
those is strong since it puts the Perfect Strike to a 5/4, which lets it trade back into a piloted Ale Strike or Grandpa Gundam. So honestly, pretty
Yeah.
solid.
yeah, that's fair.
Moving on, we have Peaceful Timber or Quatre Ribeiro Winner. It gives +1/+1.
This card's really bad. I'm sorry.
It gives +1/+1.
It's so bad.
Yeah, fortunately, it's the effect itself isn't strong. Just like it's not worth losing the card to like protect a shield, and then the Gundam it specifically pairs with is the Sandrock, which is not a very good Gundam.
The way games pan out, at least from what I've noticed, is that you can really be pretty liberal with your life total. It's not super with spending a card to protect your life for 1 attack. Like, maybe it saves you once in a blue moon, but in the grand scheme of things, you'd rather have it be a real card that trades with one of your opponent's resources.
It's like
right?
as a pilot, it's fine because it gives 1/1, but like the base pilots give better stats than 1/1, and as a command, it's just strictly worse than a lot of the other commands. So it's honestly just a jobber card, a jobber Turk card.
Yep.
Troa Barton or Simultaneous Fire, notably Breach stack. So if you give a Breach 3 unit Breach 3 again, it has Breach 6, which would kill bases. And then he pilots the heavy arms and gives +1/+1. He's honestly pretty reasonable. He's not crazy, but he's definitely better than Peaceful Timber.
Yeah. I still don't like it very much, but
I think
would
for a
be
hybrid
B
card,
for
he's like a
me.
B tier. I think he's reasonable.
yeah.
I wouldn't be mad to put this in my deck.
Yeah.
Like, at least Breach will do something.
Yeah.
Moving on to pilots. For our first pilot, we have Rita Marcinus. He gives repair units an extra attack. He's not good for a pilot. They're a much better pilot. He has the Earth Federation trait, which is not the Earth Alliance trait.
You know the funny thing too is because there's 2 units in the game right now that actually have repair, and that's the RX-78 and the gun cannon. This guy links with neither one of them.
Yeah, so the gun
cannon.
can't. So the Gundam
cannon
only
was a
links
white
with
base.
Amaro, which is fair. That's his Gundam. But
Yeah.
the gun cannon links with a white base
base.
team, and he is not. He is just an Earth Federation. So frankly, I think this guy's a jobber.
Yeah, this guy just doesn't function at all.
All right, the other, or rather not the other, the next primary blue pilot is Benager Lynx. As a pilot, right now he sucks because there's only 1 unicorn, I believe. Yeah, there's 1 unicorn, and he specifically has to link to trigger his effect. But he gives +2/+2, and his link effect is strong. He draws a card.
Yeah.
I think right now
Right
he's like,
now he's a jobber. Okay.
I think he's B tier right now.
I take that back. He's B tier.
Like he's
Because
definitely,
+2/+2 is the biggest stat
yeah,
buff.
+2/+2 is the strongest stat buff aside from Hero Yui.
Yeah.
But like
So
he
he's
also
the biggest
draws a
natural
card.
stat buff. Yeah.
Like
and
right
drawing a
now
card
he's
is good.
constrained by the Gundam he can attach to, which is just the 1 wing. But like I think in the future this card has the potential to be like the best pilot in the game.
Yeah, as a print, like I'm sure set 1 because they already revealed some artworks for unicorns. There's probably going to be some good unicorn units to be playing with this guy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Amaru Ray. There's not much to say. This is definitely an S tier pilot.
Yeah, he's so good.
There's so many board states that because he's an on pair and not an on link effect, you can just attach him to any Gundam and like take tempo by clearing a board. It's just like so strong to have him. He gives +2/+1. He has the Earth Federation white base team and new type tags, so he just links with so many units. Even if he's not linking, just the on pair rest anything with 5 or less HP. Like that's such a notable break point. Is like nothing that is not linked does like has more than that.
Yeah, like pair him up with the LRRX-78. You attach them on. You rest like their biggest body, and then you get to just immediately swing into it, and then RX-78 will repair too. It's just so good. Like he lets you chase down anything, almost anything in the game.
Very, very strong pilot. No qualms. And then we have the namesake, Guel Jaturk. Guel Jaturk. He just frankly doesn't have text right now. So normally he says if your opponent has 8 or more cards in his hand, you untap your unit and give it vigilance. Pretty much it can't attack again, which is strong. But in the beta where, again, card draw is not very easily accessed and like your resources get expended quickly, your opponent just will never naturally have 8 or more cards in their hand unless they're going to be like, unless they've just lost the game already.
Okay, I will give him B tier for 2 reasons.
What?
Right? I know, I know I said he's terrible, but to be fair, he's level 3, so he can come down a little bit earlier than most of the other burst pilots. And his typing for Academy actually does link with Darrowblade and Michaelis, which are 2 pretty solid white units.
It's just for one.
He's better than Rid and Marcenis, I think.
Yeah, but it's just like for 1/1, it's just like so bad. Like you could just pair Suletta. Suletta has the Academy trait.
Well, yeah. I mean, Soletis are strictly better, but I'm just saying Ultra Turk has some things going for him.
Spoiler alert, he isn't actually Chopper tier. Sorry to get everyone's hopes up. Moving on, we just mentioned her, Suletta. Suletta is honestly one of the strongest, or stronger, not strongest pilots. Maybe strongest, we don't know. But
I think she's super underrated.
Just untapping a resource is just really strong. So like the first turn that you use Suletta, you like go net 0 because she pairs for 1, but like every turn after that you're playing with like an extra resource. So like if you're at 10 you're playing with 11, if you're at 9 you basically ramp to 10. Like this is like how ramp should have been pretty much. Like you compare this to First Contact, it's like I paid 1 for this and it's like it just like keeps snowballing, right? Like it demands an answer and that gives +2 toughness. It's like one of the few pilots that gives +2 toughness.
Yeah, she's the only one aside from Banisher that naturally gives +2 health, because everyone else, as far as the burst pilots, are +2/+1. So
or +1/+1.
Yeah, so like +1/+2 secretly is like an extremely good stat, but like
I'm putting her
I am very heavily putting it. Yeah, I would say S tier. There's so many things she combos so well with. Yeah, she's so strong, so underrated. Very
underrated as well. I definitely agree. Moving on to the final mono white pilot is Kira Yamato. We mentioned him so many times in the unit video. He's really good.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, he's really good.
Spoiler alert, he's up here. Kira Yamato just like he's so efficient as a pilot because with the on attack effect that he gives to anything he's put on, because again for some reason it's not a link effect, it's just a on attack effect he gives to the Gundam. He gives a unit -2 attack. So he's basically a 2/3 the first time you've attached him, but like if that unit untaps, he's turned into a 2/5. And it just like keeps going from there. He basically has pseudo repair.
Yeah, exactly. It's as if your guy has repair. So like the longer that your guy stays on board with Kira, like basically it's +2 health every turn.
It's like especially with like the Grandpa Gundam where it like has repair to itself. It's like you just like recover 4 health a turn pretty much. Like it just snowballs so quickly.
Yep.
So very, very strong pilot. Nothing really to say there. Moving on, we have Hiro Yui. He's just a stat stick. He technically gives the most stats of any one pilot since he gives +3/+2, but he only gives it to specifically a Wing Gundam. But the Wing Gundam is a good Gundam, so like I think that Hiro is a good pilot, and he only gets better as we get more wings. I'd probably put him in S tier, but he's probably the weakest of the S tier pilots.
I'd I'd probably put him more towards A just because he only has one good pair, and that's with the LR Wing Gundam, right?
I think he's still fair to put an S, even with the vanilla wing. As bad as that card is, it becomes a 7/6, which still contests like pretty much everything in the game. Nothing survives swinging into a 7/6.
Isn't it 7/5?
Or
it's only +2 health.
Oh yeah, it's 7/5. I mean, it doesn't live. Like the Ailstrike Yamato pair kills it. Gundam Amaro kills it, but like it still kills them back in the trade. And then it's not great to like Witch and the Bride bounce it, because then when you bounce things, they get moved to the same spot. It's like you just gave them their pair back to their hand. If you feel very strongly, I'll put him in A, but I think he's a low S tier. I don't think he's in contention for new type, but
yeah, like high A, low S, I suppose.
We can just like tentatively put him here.
Yeah,
I think that's fine. I don't feel strongly enough to put him in S, but I think he gets better as more time passes, and potentially we might see another Hero UE in set 1, since this is a starter deck card as well. But moving on, we have Chang Wu-Fei. This unit's pretty good, honestly. It gives +2/+1, and then it just like pairs very well with anything that has breach, since it like protects them from 3 health or lower guys. So it basically has like +2/+4 conditionally. It's like worse than Kira Yamato, since he always gives something -2 attack. So he's like always +2/+3 versus this guy being sometimes +2/+4.
Okay, this is very secretly a hot take. Is this a hot take? I secretly think that Chang Wu-Fei might be slightly better, at least equally good, if not maybe slightly better, on the LR wing than Hero is.
No, I think that's fair, because it's like it's still +2/+1, but like if you swing into a 3 health idiot, it basically got like +3 health instead of getting +1/+1. You basically got like +0/+3.
Yeah, because you slide it onto LR wing, he becomes a 6/6, which still is like pretty freaking huge. And then when you run into like a guy, at least you get to kill like a jobber for free and breach 5.
And you can still swing into the active stuff with wing because of its effect. I guess the one downside to not pairing Hero is if they have strike plus Kira, their thing lives exactly, because you deal 4 damage instead of 5 damage. But I think he's
it's still
A
kind of
tier.
weird if you trade with 2 things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you still like kill the guy and then like put a guy to 1 health, so I think you're fine with that.
With heavy arms, it's pretty good too. Turn into a 5/5 breach 3.
5/5 breach 3, and then potentially a 5/8 breach 3. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. Last but not least, we have Char Aznable. He baseline only gives a +1/+1, but if he's a link, he gives like more stats and unblockable. The unblockable is pretty solid, but
he's effectively +2/+1 on level 3 for like no questions asked.
Yeah, he is a level 3 pilot, which is nice.
Yeah, especially on his Red Zaku. Then you give it rush, you get the token when it trades into a big guy. Just all around really solid. I put it in A also. Like, it has the stat buff of all the level 4 pilots, but 1 level earlier.
Definitely. I guess to close it out, we can put one of each card type into the new type tier. I think we don't
we
have
kind of already spoiled it a little bit throughout the video, but yeah. We'll start with bases.
Yeah, I don't think there's a
white
question.
Base, get up there.
Yeah. I think we agree on this one.
Now, show of resolve or affection?
I think it's pretty...
It's affection.
I think it's... You think it's affection? Oh, no, yeah, I think it's affection, too. I thought you said show of resolve. I was going to say, I already had it here, and I got stunlocked. I'm like, hold on a minute.
I don't know if this is a debate.
I mean, this I'll put... I
think affection's really hard to power creep.
It's like, overflowing affection just, like, because it comes out sooner, and it's just, like... It's just a net break even. Just seeing 2 extra cards so fast is so good. Because, like, this lets you dig deeper into your deck to find the right pilot pairs, find the right Gundams, find, like, this if you're playing blue-white, or find this if you need to, like, interact, or find this because this draws a card.
Yeah, like, I just don't see how Bandai R&D would power creep overflowing affection. I just don't see how
it's just, like, so efficient since it's, like, on level 2, 4-1, and you see 2 cards. Like, they'd have to make, like, on level 3, draw draw 3, ditch 2
or something. Yeah.
But I guess now is where the real question comes. Which of these 3 do we think is the best pilot? I think I know, but
it's close
it
in a vacuum, but everything together, and let us know in the comments too if you agree with this, but I think it's Kira. I think Kira's the best.
I think I agree. I think the Gundams that he specifically links with are stronger than Amaro's. I think he frankly links as good with Amaro's Gundam as he does. He just doesn't give it haste. And while Amaro is very generically good, don't get me wrong, Amaro links just as well with everything else. Just Kira basically being a 2-3 versus this being a 2-1 is just like really, really strong.
Yeah. In context, Kira just links with more units in the format right now. He links with Launcher Strike, Ale Strike, Perfect Strike, Strike.
Not Dagger Strike, that
yeah.
links with nothing.
Yeah, so he's... Yeah, like, just... I think with that in consideration, I think that's why Kira...
Yeah, like, they're both of these have very strong effects. I think this one, like, gets better as time goes on, but currently it's not... It's a very strong pilot, but it's not the best pilot in the beta. But, like, these two is just because Kira links with 2 or 3 more Gundams mandatorily than Rey does, Kira's just, like, the stronger pilot.
I will say, for the other 2 pilots between Soletta and Banisher, if you're a fiend for beta alternate arts and like you can find a good deal, I personally think those 2 pilots are not a bad pickup because I think they have a lot of potential. But again, not financial advice or anything. If you're just a big fiend for alternate arts,
if you're like me and you love texturing,
yeah, they look really nice. I have the alternate art Soletta because I pulled it from one of my betas. It looks really nice, but
the alt arts in this game look so nice already. I can't wait to see
really
what Bandai does for set 1. But with that being said, guys, let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree. How would you place these things on your own tier list? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we're uploading more. And don't worry, more One Piece and Gundam and Digimon will be coming to you guys shortly. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. See ya.
See you guys.